I welcome you all in this talk about the intuitive spiritual awareness, glimpse of universal consciousness and divinity. Myself, Dr. Richa Sassangi. The major objective of this study is to correlate the spirituality and the science, and via use of spiral dynamics, quantum reality, and cognition process, we should understand clearly what is spirituality. To also understand what is intuitive spiritual awareness and concept perception of reality, divine reality, and to understand the brain, mind, and soul relationship in understanding the spiritual consciousness is our major objective of this study. Paravidya, it means the intuitive knowledge, all the knowledge which comes from our by rendering the kinetic, the inner hidden senses of our soul, that gives us the intuitive knowledge, and this knowledge is pure truth and is revealed in saints' discourses, in Vedic and Upanishadic knowledge. These all are based on our intuitive knowledge or paravidya. All the rest of the knowledge which is gained through the external senses and mind is called as aparavidya. There is a convergence of the science and spirituality, and universal spiritual consciousness constitute foundational premise for unity. In religion, this USC is given a various names called God or Allah, and in the science, this universal spiritual consciousness is known as unified force field, which reveals itself through the space-time consciousness. Consciousness is just a manifestation of supreme spiritual reservoir energy. Consciousness is an essential property of a pure spirit also, that it has a quality of the Sat, Chit and Anand, that the pure spirit energy, it has a quality of truth, conscious entity and a pure joy. Spiritual approaches which involves the consciousness studies, they include the theories of higher states of consciousness. Different steps in meditations are also intended to bring us scientifically to the superconscious states or samadhi. The consciousness of the mind is derived from the consciousness of the spirit, and all the activities and functions of mind are due to this projected. Spirituality, it aims both at the inner growth and outward manifestation of this growth, leading to the intuitive awareness. Spirituality can also be understood in the terms when we have gained more wisdom, we have a more higher states of awareness, and ultimately which leads us to the communion with the God. This intuitive awareness or spirituality, it is not possible from the physical senses. It is only possible when the hidden inner senses are rendered kinetic, and that is also through by our sixth chakra, that is the third eye chakra. It governs our intellectual and intuitive ability. It has immense potential for the spiritual awareness. Whenever we became aware, first of all, we became aware of our own spirit energy, and then the spirit energy which is in the universe, that is the universal spiritual consciousness. Our human body is a replica of a creation, and there are portals or doorways in the human body, in the human brain, through which we can have a vision and we can also gain the consciousness of the higher level. One of the greatest discovery for the humanity is a truth which is told about the Atma, and it is prime spirit energy which is connected with its reservoir every time. In Eastern philosophy, in Upanishads, Vedas, Sufis and saints, this is all clearly told that for intuitive spiritual experiences, self-meditation is important. And the person who is a true seeker or the mystic, he might have certain stages. In Upanishad, 5 stages are given until and unless he becomes enlightened, till has a union with the reality or perception of divine reality. Radha Soami faith is a modern scientific religious tradition which clearly emphasizes on the spiritual consciousness. It tells us that there is a supreme being which is an infinite spiritual energy source or reservoir, and this universal conscious field is omnipresent quantum spiritual field. Man is a perfect microcosm of the microcosm, that is the universe. And in the human body, human brain, we have 6 ganglias or chakras in human body. Then in 6 nerve centers are there, 6 apertures are there in white matter of the brain, through which vision of the higher planes or higher conscious areas connections can be established. This can be established by a practice called as sound meditation. That is, when the spirit force and the spiritual sound currents are united by the use of the meditation process. That is the spiritual sound meditation. This ultimately leads to a perception of the God or an enhancement of the universal consciousness of that person. And the science, we see that the brain projects the mind, and mind can be conceptual mind or cognitive mind, and then the consciousness is there. The quality of awareness, it depends on the quality of the mind, and the quality of the mind, it depends on the physical quality of the brain. So all the mind power, it comes from the brain that is developed to its highest potential. And for a mystic experience, it is the faculty of the cognitive mind, not of the conceptual. It is the soul that manifests through the body and the mind. Intelligence and cognitions are the faculties of soul and its media of expression of consciousness. So brain is just a transmitter of consciousness. It is not a generator. Consciousness is a manifestation of supreme being. This study uses a spiral dynamics model to tell us that there is a progressive spiritual evolution of consciousness across the time and space throughout the and in which these color-coded memes are telling the progressive evolution, starting from the basic survivalism, that is the beige color, to the yellow, which is systemic and the spiritualistic. Our human population is proceeding towards turquoise holistic. These iterations are telling that constant spiritual growth is maintained, and people are becoming more and more aware about the self or soul consciousness, and the stage will come when they will understand divinity and supreme consciousness and about the supreme awareness. Mind at the experiences is made up of the separate time frame images. The brain and the universe, they have dynamic patterns or dynamic energy forces which are in the constant flow and the changes. All the mind energy that converts into the thought and converts energy into other forms of the matter. Direct experience of a timeless present moment, transcend thought, which can never be taught or conveyed. It means that between the two thoughts there is a space. A timeless moment is there, which is called as natural silent consciousness. It is this timeless moment when there is no thought or mind, when it is calm and quiet, experience of the mystical consciousness is possible, which is an extraordinary dimension of a natural intelligence. When the conditioned thoughts end, enlightenment can transform the mind, and the spiritual or mystical dimension can only be sensed at that time. Mysticism is thus a knowledge of personal experience, a state of consciousness, and it is an ecstasy which results in increase of the wisdom and executive ability. We all know about the quantum reality. It tells us about the atoms and subatomic quantum particles which can exist in 2 or more states or places simultaneously. more like a wave than a particle. And this multiple coexisting possibility is called as quantum superposition. They are even unified and connected, though they are specially separated, and this property of quantum is called as non-local entanglement. Based on this thing, we can understand that in universe, like there are in religion, it has in Vedas, it has been told that there are different higher consciousness planes or regions are there, and when subject's consciousness awareness matches the frequency of the awareness of that region of or plane, we gain the conscious awareness of that region. So lokas are portrayed as distinct worlds or realms and planes of existence which differ from three-dimensional world of our everyday waking experiences. And it has been proved by scientific experiment also that there is a possibility of having a cosmic parallels in universe. All these discoveries or findings, either on the medical sciences, consciousness studies, quantum reality, they all support that for a normal consciousness in the human beings, it occurs in the brain at 40 hertz, which corresponds with the gamma synchrony, telling us that it's a deep sleep, awakened brain. Now, it is observed that in the Tibetan monk, when they are meditating, this can reach to the 80 hertz gamma synchronic meditation. So this clearly indicates that in the meditation, certain high level consciousness phenomena are going on in the brain. The meditative mind. Now, this meditative mind altered consciousness, it may involve a transcendence to deeper, more intense level of experience, deeper level of reality, consistent with the Vedic astral planes or lokas, and enlightenment reached by meditation and spiritual practices. Now, movement of consciousness to deeper planes could account for the near-death experiences, soul apart from the body. This consciousness depends on the non-local quantum effects in the brain. Idea of the quantum soul was given by the Hameroff, which tells us that there is an interconnectedness via entanglement among the living beings and the universe. Contact with the cosmic wisdom, Platonic values embedded as quantum information in fundamental space-time geometry. Consciousness as a pattern in the non-local fractal holographic like space-time geometry is able to exist at deeper planes and scales independent of biology. Ordinary spiritual currents flowing in our bodies when focused internally by the practice of spiritual exercise become tremendously powerful like a diffuse rays of the sun. So when the pineal gland is activated, it opens up the higher heart center thymus, and which raises our frequency levels and opens the higher path. Each new chakra on becoming kinetic, it evolves a new consciousness. Ultimately, the stage can be reached when the chakra or the center with which God perception is possible, it becomes. In the end, we can summarize that all the spiritual experiences are being higher consciousness phenomena, which is different from the normal awareness, ascetic and psychedelic drug-induced states. Consciousness is associated with the bliss of an extraordinary intensity, culminating in the ecstasy of an experience of union with God. Humans have potential to awaken higher levels of consciousness, which is not a physiological or psychological phenomena. It is beyond the sense perception and reasoning, and it manifests inwardly. All the studies of consciousness, quantum reality, cognition, they all slowly makes us understand about the universal truths or paravidya, or which we have gained through the intuitive knowledge that God is one and He is a universal, omnipresent, omnipotent, spiritual energy source, conscious entity. In each one of us, we have a spirit energy which also has these qualities of Sat Chit Anand.